Everybody's waving.
I'll put it here. There we go. That's better.
Score a touchdown. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Oh, high, watch our eagles fly.
All right. Go on.
Fly, eagles, fly on the road to
We'll do
victory.
this live. Let's go.
EAGLES, Eagles.
All right. This is this man's view at Dagwood's Pub. Welcome. We would like to welcome our very special guest, Vince Papale.
Thank you so much. Great to be here. Great to be at Dagwood's.
Thanks, John.
Thank you all for coming out.
Yes.
Yeah, this is really a loud applause. This is not an applause track. So that was really cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks, man.
All right. So we would also like to thank Ed and Nick for having us here. They have some specials tonight. Specials are Miller Lite and 1675 Spirits. See Ryan and Kelly at the back bar. And we also have other special guests here. We have Phil and Paul from State Farm. They are one of our t-shirt sponsors. So, guys, hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for coming out. Thanks to all you guys. Let's do it.
So I want to extend a special thanks to Phil and Nikki for hosting this again tonight. Ed, sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself.
What are you running for president?
Ed and Nikki, and then Phil, who's our T-shirt sponsor. So he's handing out free T-shirts tonight.
All right, Phil. Let's have a hoorah for Phil.
So you're in good hands with Phil because he's a local State Farm guy. So give it up.
Oh, you're the guy. Oh,
yeah.
You're Aaron Rodgers, buddy, huh?
There you go. There you go.
Great tagline, and he did it without a teleprompter too. That's pretty impressive.
So we got $3 Miller Lights, so drink up. We got 1675 Spirits for $5, so drink up. The food is awesome, so eat up.
Food is really good here, so order everything.
So where's my little anti-cowboy fan? Come on up here, buddy. Come on up. Come on up. Come on over here. Come on. How much you weigh?
44 pounds.
44 pounds.
Just looked at a doctor the other day.
So this is our cowboy buddy. So what do you got to say? Come on, don't be bashful now. Come on. It's the beginning of the show.
You're allowed to say it now. Go ahead.
Go ahead. What do you got for me?
Dallas sucks.
What's your name?
Bryson.
Say hello to Mr. Invincible.
Hi, Bryson.
Hello.
Yeah, we did a pound earlier, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wore the ring.
All right.
Yeah.
There
The
you go, buddy.
non-Super Bowl ring. Nice job, Bryson. You got him. You got him early, Mom. Did a nice job. Way to go.
That's really good parenting. We like that around here. So where are we going?
I think
Did we thank everybody?
we did thank everybody.
Well,
Twice,
there's another man in the house. Bill Mattis.
Where's Bill Mattis?
Bill Mattis.
There he is, back to the bar.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
The best promoter out there. Bill and I have been connected for the last few years, and you're the man, Bill. You're invincible. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I've had some good times with Bill all the way down in Virginia when it all started down there.
And you even went up into New England country.
Yes, I did. That's a great time to be. That's a great place to go to when you're an Eagles fan.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, they look at me as Mark Wahlberg's little brother, so I'm sort of like their adopted son there, you know.
All right.
All right. So you want to start off with a trivia question?
Let's do it.
Because I know you're going to talk about this, so I figured I'd bring it up first. We're going to do 2 trivia questions first. Rules are, don't yell out the answer. All right? So, first question. Before joining the Eagles, what was Vince's profession?
Give me 1 second.
Here we go.
All right.
Drum roll.
Bartender?
No. That is incorrect.
Dupe.
That's like a football player, but like he played football.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of people wondered if I played football, but
Worked at a school?
what's that?
As
Yeah, what as what? As a janitor, as a principal, or
I want to say as a teacher.
as a PE teacher?
well,
Well, I wasn't a
close, you're
PE teacher, yeah,
Right.
but I was a teacher. I was a business teacher at my alma mater.
We'll
Okay.
get to that.
Oh, excuse me.
Second trivia question. Where did he teach? Back there at the bar, I believe, was the first one.
Did you hear that up there?
No,
Interborough.
that is correct.
Yeah, where are you? Oh, sweet. Yeah, Interborough High School. Can I tell the story?
Yes, now you can.
Yeah, this is, I'm so proud to be at Interborough, and actually they just retired my number there, but which was cool. Right before we played Ridley and beat them on Thanksgiving, you talk about David versus Goliath. But I taught at Interborough High School, which is my alma mater, and I went there and I played 1 year of high school football, and I was a track guy, and I actually did pretty well at track and wound up with a track scholarship at St. Joe's. And after 4 years at St. Joe's, went back to Interborough for 6 years and was head track coach, assistant football coach. And did not play Haverford, though, where Carl's Cards is. But anyway, yeah, it was a good time. Interborough High School, thank you. I appreciate that. I love it there. It's just, that's Glen Olden, Prospect Park, Norwood,
Go
and
Bucks.
Essington.
Go Bucks.
Yeah, the Buccaneers, right.
Anybody in the house from Delco?
Any Delco guys here?
Yeah, I'm a Delco
Delco?
guy. I heard Sharon Hill out there somewhere. Somebody shouted Sharon Hill. Yeah, Glen Olden's right down the road from there. Yeah.
All right. Go for it, Carl.
So let's talk a little bit about the movie, because I know that's a big storyline.
Okay.
So wherever you want to start, let's start at the beginning.
Well,
How's that?
I don't know where you want to start as far as where the movie got started, how that happened.
Let's break it down.
All right. Well, the movie actually was started. The concept of the movie started in 2002, and the Eagles were playing the 49ers on Monday Night Football. And I don't know if everybody out there in the audience had ever seen a feature on ESPN before the Monday night games. It was called Distant Replay. And so I was a distant replay character for the Eagles, and it was Jerry Rice was the distant replay guy for the 49ers. And it was that game in 2002 where A.J. Feely came in and became the quarterback, and then the legend of A.J. Feely started. So anyway, prior to that, NFL Films approached me in the summer of 2002 and said, we'd like to do a feature on you because you're the real life Rocky, quote, unquote. And which was okay. That's pretty cool to be called that, because Rocky was my favorite sports movie other than Miracle back then, and nothing was better than Miracle because that was a real deal. And so I said, "You kidding me? You're going to say what's it all about?" So we're going to put on Monday Night Football. Oh, okay. So we did the feature, and when the Eagles were playing the 49ers, and I guess it was October of 2002, they showed the feature, and Ron Jaworski and Stuart Scott were the commentators then, and Stuart was busting Jaws' chops. Hey, this is Rocky, all that. So they showed the feature, and I had a big party at my house. I live in Cherry Hill, and I had all kinds of those kinds of things, and I had about 6 or 8 studios or producers from Hollywood contacting us, but I wanted to try to get something going with Philadelphia, and I went to a couple people that were producers in Philadelphia, and they says, "Oh, this happens all the time. It's not going to go anywhere, right?" So they sort of shot me down, and so I said, "Well, screw you, basically." And I went with this guy that was actually creator of America's Next Top Model. His name was Ken Mock, and he had a production company called 10 by 10 out of California. And he says, "We're going to write a spec script, and we're going to sell this script, and we're going to put it in an auction out in Hollywood, and we're going to make a movie out of it. I guarantee it." So I signed my life away to him, and damn if he didn't do it. And he got a spec script, and I saw the spec script, and then we tightened it up a little bit. And I'll tell you the real story about how Janet became a Giants fan. That was rough. And anyway, so they what they did is, and then now it's 2004. We fast forward 2 years, and we're 2004. They put the script up for auction in October, and Disney outbid every studio in Hollywood for that script. And then I became part of a Disney character, and in 2005, Mark Wahlberg became my big brother. He was the guy that played me, of course, in the movie. Elizabeth Banks played Janet. Greg Kinnear did a great job playing Dick Vermeil. And they started shooting the movie right around the corner from here. And we trained at Northeast High School for 2 weeks in 2005 prior to the shooting of the movie at Franklin Field. And we shot, it was a 13-week shoot. It was all shot in Philly, except for 1 week where we went to Dallas, which was really good. Really cool. We took over Dallas Stadium and turned it into a theater, a studio. It was really, really fun, and had a great time. So, and then the movie came out in 2006, and now it's $1 billion project for Walt Disney. So that's how it all started. 13 years, and I'm still pinching myself. It's like the most freaking cool thing you could possibly imagine.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Anybody in the house from Northeast High School?
What?
Huh?
You got one?
No, not even.
You're not old enough. You're still in grade school.
Well, how about anybody from around St. Cecilia area? Well, my wife Janet was one of 9, and the first 6 were girls, and they were all gymnasts. And they grew up at Ron Street in Ferndale, and went to St. Cecilia and then Northeast High School. It's pretty wild because Janet went to high school with Lou Tilley and Pete Cherokee, from Chicky and Pete's. So it's pretty cool.
We're being asked to smile for a picture. It's all good. We're all good. Sean, how's the food? Huh?
Fried oysters?
Raw oysters.
Oysters.
Raw oysters.
So tell us a little about this raw oysters that you're eating there. You looking to get lucky tonight? I mean, what's going on?
It's
You got to work that hip out.
It's a family show, Vince.
Sorry about that. What do I know? Too many hits to the head without a helmet. That's what happens when you play special teams.
Who's nuts? We
Who's
got
nuts?
him right here.
Yeah, who's nuts?
We got him right here.
We're all a little bit crazy, aren't we? Dagwoods, this is awesome. Does anybody remember the comic
There's the
Dagwood?
owner right there. Give it up for Ed.
Hey, Ed,
Owner
what's
at
up?
Dagwoods. Give
Good to
it
see
up. Give it
Yeah,
up.
great to be here. Thank you. Honored to be here, Ed. Thank you so much. You would love it. This little lounge that we're in, it's so cool. It's beautiful. I just love it. It's so intimate. Thank you.
I like all the old.
Yeah, did a great job, sir.
They have on the.
He did the wallpaper.
There you go.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right.
We ready for a couple questions out there?
All right. So we know Vince played track. He was on the track team.
Right.
So 2-part question or 2 questions. He favored in two events, I guess. No, I'll say what they are.
All right.
Right? Is that right?
I don't know. I can't see it. What's it? Just kidding.
Thanks for doing your homework there.
Yeah, that was actually there were 5.
Name one of the events that Vince was in. Lauren, right behind you.
This is track and field.
Pole vault.
That is one.
That's
what
one
is
of
the
them.
other? Sorry, nepotism over here. I don't think he's allowed to win. You are correct.
The long jump. We didn't call it the long jump back there, but it's a family show, so I can't say what it was.
Hold your ears, kids.
I ain't going there, man. My mouth is, no. So yeah, what's that? But in reality, so anyway, well, when I was at Interboro High School, I was mostly a pole vaulter and a low hurdler. And then when I got to St. Joe's, actually what happened on Father's Day in 1964, my highest vault was 12 feet 9 inches in high school, and I never pole vaulted before. And on Father's Day, I went against these guys that were winners from all the different It was called the Meet of Champions, and from all the different conferences in the greater Philadelphia area, from the Interact League, from the Catholic League, from the Public League, and all these champions. And I hit 14.6, and I was a foot and a half off the world's record. Whoa. So, and I was auditioning, my coach, George Corner, when I was a senior in high school, was auditioning all these colleges around the Philadelphia area. And they basically said, we already have our guy. You're not a good enough athlete. So I wound up, and then when I hit the 14.6, I went up to the head coach for St. Joe's College then, was Luna Castro. And he walked up, he says, I've got a scholarship for you, son. And that was my Father's Day gift to my dad. And it was the greatest thing in the world. He cried like a baby. It was the most awesome thing in the world. And it changed my life. And then when I got to St. Joe's, they said, well, the hawk will never die, baby. Yeah, I'm right. And so I got to St. Joe's, and then the coach says, well, you're not just going to be a pole vaulter. You're going to do a few other events. So I wound up doing the pole vault, long jump, triple jump, high hurdles, and I led off the 440 relay. So every meet, I would do 5 events. And here's the beautiful thing. I'm not going to mention the school, but when I was a sophomore, they didn't allow freshmen to score. You could compete, couldn't score. But against one of the big 5 teams in the dual meet, I started off for the 440 relay, we won. Ran the high hurdles, we won. Did the triple jump, I won it. Did the long jump, I won it. And I did the pole vault and won it. I had 5 firsts. And I went to that coach and I said, well, coach, remember when you told me I wasn't a good enough athlete? What do you think of me now? Right? That's like Toby Keith's song, how do you like me now, right? And that's the ultimate last laugh. And, it turned out that coach says, you know what, I think I made a big mistake. And he turned out one of the greatest guys in the world. We were close friends all the way up until his passing. So, hey, life is good. You just take it what it is. And you get motivated when people tell you that you're not good enough to do something or somebody's better than you, and that just pissed me off. So that's basically what they did when I was 30 years old trying out for the Eagles.
We have 2 questions from Facebook. One is, when did this become an adult show? The other is from Belinda Figo. She wants to know what it was like working with Coach Vermeil.
Oh, my God, it was fantastic working for Dick Vermeil. He was incredible. He was not only wasn't just a coach. He was a mentor to me, and we had so much in common from our background, from our Italian background. Dick Vermeil's mother was Italian, and his father was French. My dad's Italian, my mom's English. So that was it. Dick was a school teacher and a coach. I was a school teacher and a coach, and Dick was a football guy. I was a football guy. So, and his father was a mechanic, and my dad was a mechanic at Westinghouse. So it was great. It was just the best experience in the world, and I owe him and I love him so much for the opportunity he gave me. And he has a great quote about opportunity, and it's this: it says, "Opportunity is worth to a person exactly what their preparation enables them to make it," which is really wordy, but it means when you get a shot, be ready, be prepared, because you never know when that chance is going to happen.
So here's a great segue for Coach Dick Vermeil. We've got an autographed mini helmet over here we're giving away tonight, along with many other raffle items. So you got to come up. You got to see Sue. She'll give you 2 free raffle tickets. We've got a free T-shirt giveaway, compliments of State Farm. Philip Young is in the house.
And his sidekick, Paul.
And his sidekick.
I know I'm going to hear about that later, but that's okay.
All right. So come up and see Sue. We got raffles. We got beer specials. We got 1675 specials. We got Kelly and Ryan, the man in the back bar. So take care of them. Take care of your waitresses. Ed's walking around. Ed is the owner of this fine establishment. So please tell him how great tonight is so he will have us back next month.
Well, yeah, next month. We'll be on the road the rest of this month.
Well, this is March.
Right.
We're talking
So
April.
I forgot.
We're talking April.
I'm still in February.
And we've got a major freaking announcement for April. So hang in there with us. It's going to come, and it's going to come fast. So hang with us. It's only an hour-long show. We're just about halfway through. Lauren, how we doing? We're good?
Any questions from anybody in the room?
Here we go.
Raise your hand.
Open mic.
Miss Lauren will come over. Any questions? How about for the St. Joe's person over there? You got any questions? What's that? All right. So we will do this.
Thank you.
Another trivia question. In 1978, Vince was granted what title by the Eagles? Do not yell out the answer.
You gotta raise your hand. Come on, let's do this.
That is incorrect, by the way. Go ahead.
Special teams captain.
What's that?
Special teams captain.
That is correct.
Well, that was actually 77, but that's okay. Yep, that's all right. Yeah, that was my sophomore year, second year.
Mario loves Wikipedia, especially when it's not right.
Oh yeah, Wikipedia says I was invited to the tryout. I
got a lot of the stuff off your website.
Oh yeah, 77. 78 though was pretty cool because I was named Man of the Year.
That too. I have that also.
Yeah. So that was very exciting, and got to the finals with Roger Staubach and Archie Manning, and we went to Chicago, and it eventually went to Roger Staubach. But what an honor! We had the Eagles fly for leukemia back then. Mr. Leonard Toast was our owner, great owner, and did wonderful things for leukemia and Children's Hospital, St. Christopher's Hospital. And just one of the best charities I was ever involved with.
Did you have a lot of interaction with him as an owner?
Was that Mr. Toast?
Yeah.
I had a lot of interaction with Mr. Toast. So one of the greatest stories was there were a whole bunch of law enforcement guys that were local guys from Williamstown Police Department, also state troopers from New Jersey, that called themselves a Mean Green Machine, and they were all season ticket holders, and they all wore their favorite players' jerseys. And one guy's name was Gus Pradell, who was a sergeant in the New Jersey State Police, wore my jersey. So what they did is they asked me if I could be his birthday present. So I said, birthday present? He says, yeah, we'd like you to drive him down and give him an autographed football to him personally. And I said, when you want to do this? He said, well, on a Saturday night, ... I said, well, we're playing the Cowboys, for crying out loud, the next day. I said, this is a true story. You can't make stuff like this up. So I said, we're playing the Cowboys the next day. I said, I have a little bit of a window because we don't have to be to the Hilton Hotel, which was right across from the vet then. And that's where we were sequestered. We had 9 o'clock meetings. And I says, you got to get me to the Hilton Hotel by 8 o'clock so I can check in, get organized, and get to the meetings. So they flew me in a state trooper's car down all the way down to Williamstown. Lights are flashing, and I got this autographed football, and I got my jersey on. I opened up the door. I said, is Gus Pradell there? And he said, yeah. I said, hi, I'm Vince Papale. Happy birthday. And he almost passed out, right? It was the greatest thing in the world, right? So, and they get me back, and I finally made it in time for my meetings and all. So as a thanks, what they did is they adopted the Eagles Fly for Leukemia as their charity. And they actually held an event in New Jersey for the Eagles Fly for Leukemia and raised several $1,000s. Mr. Toast flew in on his helicopter and attended the event. Okay, fast forward another year, and the Eagles, and that's it. It's not the Eagles are playing the Super Bowl. It's Pittsburgh is playing the Cowboys, Super Bowl 13, I think it was. And my friend who was a state trooper, he says, I just got ripped off. I got one of these packages, and I don't have any tickets for the game. I got a hotel room, but I don't have any game tickets. I said, well, let's go to the Doral Hotel because that's where the Eagles are staying. That's where all the club owners are staying. So we go to the Doral Hotel. We're looking for all the owners. They're not there because they're at the owner's big bash that they have. So we're just rolling out. Then all of a sudden, here comes all these limos up, and the owners are coming out of the limos. So I said, whoa. I said, wait a minute. Maybe Mr. Toast will be there. Well, darn if you know. There's Mr. Toast. He comes out. Hey, Vince, what's up? I said, hey, Mr. Toast, how are you? He says, what's going on? Come on up, man. We'll go up and have a drink. So I said, who's your buddy? I said, this is Bob Armstrong. He says, I remember you. You're the guy that ran that at Williamstown. You're that cop, right? you're the guy that ran that fundraiser. He said, come on up. So now he's like dying. He can't believe it. So we're up there with Mr. Toast, and he said, tell me about yourself. Da, 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 da. And I said, Mr. Toast, guess what? I said, he just got messed up. He went in, he tried to get one of these kinds of deals, and they took him for a ride, and he doesn't have any tickets for the game. And he goes, Jimmy Murray, the general manager, he said, Jimmy, take care of him. Darn if the next day he doesn't have seats on the 50-yard line. Guess who he's sitting next to? Joe DiMaggio, right? The guy almost died. Almost. This is the kind of guy. This is the team that we had. These were, everybody hears these stories about Leonard Toast, but you don't know those kinds of stories, and how he loved children, and how and what he would do for every dollar. Let's suppose right now we're having a fundraiser, and we raised $10,000. Mr. Toast would give $10,000 also to the charity. And he would match it dollar for dollar. I mean, it was all the way. It was just the most amazing man I've ever imagined. And for him to bring Dick Vermeil in, you talk about karma. It's just everything just working, and the stars, so everything is aligned in karma. That was it. But I have just the fondest memories of Mr. Leonard Toast. Just a great, great man.
Great story. Great story. We got a question out here.
So I just started playing flag football.
Uh-huh.
So, what age were you when you started playing football?
Well, I was about 7 or 8 years old when I started playing football. And I grew up in Glen Olden, like I said, in a little housing project in Glen Olden. But we didn't have a football team. So guess what? My dad started the team. And he formed a team called the Glendale Indians. And as they say, the rest is history. I started playing football. When I was 14 years old, though, I was only about 4 feet 10 inches tall, weighed 85 pounds. And, so they said I was too small to play football. So I played 1 year of junior high school football. And then I got to high school. They had actually had the Marine drill sergeant that was the head coach. And he just looked at me and says, you're going to get killed out there, son. And so he says, I'm not going to let you try out. So for 2 years, I tried soccer, but I kept getting red carded because I liked hitting people. And that didn't work, and that's, I did the track team. Then finally, my senior year, George Corner, my junior high school coach, became the head coach. And now I'm huge. I'm about 5'7", 160 pounds. And he says, come on out for the team. And I went out for the team, and he saw I had speed. I could catch a football. And he actually changed his whole offense around. And we had Jim Haney, who eventually got drafted by he set all the passing records for Westchester. He wound up getting drafted by the Vikings in 1968. And Jim Haney was our quarterback. And I wound up leading the county in touchdowns and receptions. So go figure, just got a shot.
So I take it you're Bryson's bigger brother? Is that the deal? So what's your name? Miles. So did you listen to that story, Miles?
No, so anyway, I didn't say, but yeah, so anyway, Miles, here, let me see it. Come on, over here. Let me see it.
You're kind of hidden behind.
So look at how handsome he is. Say hi to the crowd, Miles.
It's
Here,
Miles.
here, come on,
Everybody,
come
give
right
it up for Miles.
Come right in here. Come right in the front so you're on camera. So everybody can see
There
that.
you
That's
go. There you go. Sure.
The whole world is
Stay down
watching.
here. Oh, you want the microphone? I'm sorry.
You can see Miles is very shy.
Yeah,
We
you
have
go.
special microphone for that.
it's a family.
Everybody in here should know that he is one of the best football players.
Thank you.
Everybody should know.
Thank you, Miles.
Good
Thanks.
job, Miles.
Now, I know there's a lot of parents out there that are concerned about their young boys and young ladies that want to play football or contact sports. I'm, with my wife, Janet, I'll tell you about her background in a second and whether or not she's a Giants fan. But, we sort of believe, we believe football is my sport, so I didn't have a problem with it. However, my son, Vinny, who is he's a graduate of University of Delaware, and he's chasing his dream to play in the NFL or the CFL right now. And he's got some tryouts coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I'm real excited about that. But Vinny didn't start playing football. I actually didn't want him to start playing until he was in junior high school or middle school. Because when I saw him, like Miles' age, I just recognized he was just really a gifted athlete. And there was no need for him to be playing in a contact sport like that. But He just said that. He just beat me to death. And I said, what if he sucked his thumb? And I said, the only way, I said, football players don't suck their thumb. They might as a football player, but they don't suck their thumb. And so anyway, the next day he stopped sucking his thumb, and that was it, and then so he started playing in Cherry Hill and wound up getting a scholarship at the University of Delaware and had a really tremendous career there. So really proud of my son, Vinny. So, but one of the things, again, parents, my point is make sure that with the coaches that are coaching your children, if they want to get into a contact sport, whatever it may be, and lacrosse could be whatever it might is, just make sure that they're having fun, especially as they're kids, that they're safe, they're teaching their fundamentals, and there's no need to yell and scream at a kid that makes a mistake. One of the things that a coach made a mistake of grabbing my son's face mask when he was 7 years old because he missed a tackle on the sideline, and my wife, who's about 5 feet 1 inches tall, 110 pounds, 115 pounds, she was all over that guy, and he was about 6'3", 250 pounds. So, just keep an eye on the coaching. A lot of there's some well-intentioned coaches out there, but make sure that they're all there for the right reason, and that's to have fun and work on the fundamentals and enjoy the game and be safe. It's all about safety right now, and they're doing a great job. So that's what it's about.
So we have a very long question from somebody on Facebook.
Give us the short version.
All right, short. I'll do it in stages. So, did you really play pickup ball in the mud?
Yeah, I did. I played pickup ball in the mud. I didn't do it in the movie. I didn't do it before the game. What I did is I did show up for the game, and I put my uniform on. I played for 3 rough touch teams back there: Deacon Ale House, Max's, and Cannon's Cafe, and they were all in Delaware County. And I played on Thursday night, Sunday morning, and the whole thing, but. I showed up in we played Cannon Cafe on Thursday nights, and I was teaching school at Interboro. No, not then. That's when I was doing a tryout. I showed up with my jersey on, but I didn't play. There was no way I would do it. That would be absolute suicide. So
did Neil ever find out about that?
No, that was just fun.
Okay,
No,
that's
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
And the third part of the question is, how do you feel having to sit next to me for a whole hour?
That's maybe. See, and Mario it's the greatest thing ever, man.
So wait, I got a question.
And how about Carl? Have you ever been to Carl's Cars, by the way? I'll tell you what, you want some memorabilia.
You really need to.
You really need to go there. It's in is it Havertown or Haverford? Havertown. I always get confused. Yeah, my mom used to live in Haverford.
All right, so we do have another question on Facebook. Someone wants to know, is there anything in the movie that Vince you would have done differently?
If there's anything in the movie I would have done differently, no. It got my total approval and also my wife's approval. So let's go to, because I've been sort of teasing you a little bit about my wife Janet, that I'm so proud of. I mentioned earlier that we're not in we're in the Tarsdale area. Is this still considered the Northeast here? Yeah. All right. So Janet went to Northeast High School at St. Cecilia. She's the oldest of 9. I said that the first 6 were girls, and she was a gymnast. Janet was on the USA World Gymnastics team back in 1972 with Kathy Rigby in the Olympic years. And she was fantastic. And she didn't get to Munich because she got injured in the Olympic trials. She was on her way. She was in her final event, and she sprained her ankle. And as a result, it ran her score from 5th place to 13th, and then he took 12. And they didn't take any alternates. So Janet did not go to Munich. But the next year, she wound up competing in the World Games for the USA team. And Kathy Rigby, the darling of the team, Peter Pan, if you remember. And Kathy Rigby was her friend and teammate, and they were all roommate, all kinds of fun things. So she went on, and then she blew her knee out, and went to Penn State and tried out for the tennis team. But she had to wear she got surgery. She had to wear a brace for the tennis team. And the tennis team, she made the team, she made the cut. But the tennis coach says you can't play with a brace on because they'll target you. In other words, they'll favor you from one side to the other. If they see a brace, you can't do it. So she was so disappointed. She wasn't, as she said, she wasn't ready to give up her leotard yet. So she's at Penn, and the the diving coach comes up to her and says, "We would really like you to try out and be a diver. I've had great success." She says, "Well, I can't go off I can't." She was not afraid of heights, so I can't go off the platform, which is 30 feet up, because I don't have anything in my knee. I can't. But she says I can do 1 and 3 meter springboard. So done if she didn't, and guess what? She set all Penn State's diving records, and she's wound up qualifying for the Olympic trials for diving. So that's how great an athlete she is. That's why my son has great athletic genes. So she had a decision to make back then, and she chose to become a coach, and she coached she was the head gymnastics coach at the age of 21 years old, the youngest female head coach of a Division I school ever. And that's my wife of 26 years and the mother of my 2 beautiful children, Janet Cantwell Papale. Now, here comes the movie part. Are you going to, they want to make her a Giants fan. I said, what? Are you kidding me? I'd have to have a lobotomy. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no way this is happening. So, because we needed the NFL's endorsement. The intellectual property rights are so important, right? As you know, and whatever it is, and copyright infringements and all so important. You have to protect those things. We needed so bad for us to be the Philadelphia Eagles and not the Philadelphia Turkeys or Pigeons or whatever, Robins, that like the movie Replacements, whatever it was. So in order to do that, to compromise, the NFL first said, no, we're not going to do it. There's things that have to be changed in the script. And we changed the script up. And then one of them says, we want Vince's love interest, who was Janet, to be a Giants fan. And I said, well, it's your call, Janet. If you don't want to do it, I said, what, are you crazy? I said, we're going to pass up on having a Disney movie. They're investing $60 million, and I'm worried about it being a Giants fan. It'll be fun. She's a businesswoman. She, we ain't passing this up, man. So anyway, she signed off, made her a Giants fan. And when I go out and speak, I speak all the time. If you want to get me to, VincePapale.com, you can find me. But and I have this whole thing about Janet and all the slides of hers at the Olympic trials, and it's pretty cool. But she wasn't a Giants fan. She went to Penn State and was a Penn State fan, and now she's the biggest Eagle fan ever, and really cool. So it's great.
So I think we have another question back here.
Yeah.
And then I got one that was just text to me, so I got some inside trader information.
And I got a couple questions here too. So.
Hey Vince, how you doing, brother?
Good. What's up? Where you at?
Good seeing you back here.
Okay. Oh, I see it.
83 jersey.
Oh, yeah, man.
I can't run quite as fast as you ever could.
I'm honored. Thank you.
But I got to call a little BS on the movie, because you're telling me Janet was an Olympic gymnast.
No, not an Olympic. She was
an Olympic trial. She was a gymnast.
Yeah, right.
She was beautiful.
Is beautiful.
In the movie, it's true that you said, I can't be with you during the going through the training camp. That really happened. You're telling me you got confidence, or I don't know how you got audacity to say this beautiful woman who became your wife.
Right.
Say, hey, we got to cool it off a little bit, or it just really didn't start maybe. But I would have been like, I wouldn't have cared.
Well,
how did you do it, Vince?
Do I look like the smartest guy in the world? I mean, I did play special teams. If I was smart, I would have been a punter.
Thank you.
No, that was great. Wasn't that great? You know where they shot that scene? They shot it at Broad Street and Passyunk Avenue. If you're heading from the stadium north on Broad Street and you go right past the hospital, you see Passyunk Avenue, you take a right-hand turn, it's like that 45-degree turn there. And there was it used to be a steak shop. We actually wanted to film that at Pax or Gino's, but they weren't around in '76, so that's where they filmed that scene, and it was really great. That was Hollywood. There was no way, that was a Hollywood scene. Don't believe everything they see in the movies. When they make that movie about you, they're going to mess with you. All right.
All right.
That's a good question. I love it. Thanks, man.
Here we go. So
you wear that jersey well, by the way.
Mark Wahlberg pulls up and watches the kids playing football.
Right.
Did he like that scene?
It's one of his favorite scenes ever. Yeah, one of his favorite scenes ever. And maybe if I can put this interview up on YouTube, I'll try to do it. But that scene that they created there was called the moment of truth, and it was based on something that was true that we did in the game. And here's how I want to hear the story how that scene really came up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, this is so cool to tell this stuff.
All night.
Because I've always, you know what, I really always wanted, maybe I'm going to just do that once. I'm just going to write a book just about the making of the movie and all the things and all, you know, how you talk to a screenwriter. So I'm here, I'm talking to you, and you're all the screenwriter. So I'm telling you this story about what we used to do before every game. We had a ritual before every home game, me and Denny Franks. Every away game, we were always the first on the first bus out, whatever hotel we were at. We were first into the stadium, and we'd go right in. And we wouldn't be in our uniform yet. We would just sit in the stands and with our clothes on, our street clothes on, and just look around and say, "Oh God, gee, wow, you know, can you believe that we're doing this?" So on the home games, and again we were sequestered, so we would stay at the Hilton. It's now going to be the new casino right there by the link, but we would stay at the old Hilton, then Holiday Inn, and we'd get up in the morning, have our breakfast, and I had this really hot Datsun 280Z with a T-top, right? And we would take the T-top off no matter what the weather was, and we would put Santana on. Dun-dun-dun, 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 dun-dun-dun. And I would blast that thing like as loud as you could possibly imagine. And we would go right down 9th Street where Rocky did his run. And then we would, after we do that, would pull out and go down to Delaware Avenue. And I would just run that sucker from Delaware Avenue up to Passyunk Avenue as fast as the car could go. And we were just about ready to play the Washington Redskins. And before we go into the stadium, I say, hey, let's take a little ride right around FDR Park in the little park right next door. And we go into the park, and there's these kids playing football. And one of the kids had a T-shirt on. He had number 83 on his jersey, on his T-shirt. And they were just having a catch. And I said, oh, man, I can't pass this one up. So I'm like you, you got your hat on, I had like a couple days beard, I'm a little gruffy. I got to look really tough, even though I was a patsy back then, And so I go up and I get out of the car and I said, hey, dude, you how about having a catch with me? And we just lobbing the ball to me. I said, you mind if I run under a couple? So he says, how far can you run? I said, just see if you can get it to me. So I ran out there a couple and he says, if I didn't know any better, you run just like Vince Papale, right? True story. Honest to God. He said, you run just like Vince Papale. He said, but I know he can't be him because you got a game against the Redskins in about 3 hours. You can't be here, right? And I took off my sunglasses and I said, da-da. Well, I'm telling you, the kid almost wet himself, So I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make a hit. I'm going to make a hit in that game today, and I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to dedicate that hit to you. Well, God darn it, at the end of the game, I clocked this guy, and he coughed up the ball, and Denny Franks recovered the fumble, and we won the football against the Redskins, and they came in undefeated. And so what they did is when they crafted that scene, so that little boy that's running out, that's my son, Vinny. He was 7 years old then. And my daughter, Gabriella, who now works for the 76ers Syracuse grad, she's 26. She was 10 years old, and she threw the ball into the street. And they crafted that. And that was a moment of truth because I was going to go back and just go back in time and say, you know what? It's really just a game, because I was coming off that lousy I didn't really play that lousy in real life. But coming off that, it's really just a game. You got to enjoy the game. And they call that the moment of truth scene. And every time I see it, I cry. I mean, I absolutely, it breaks me up because it's so pure and it's so beautiful. And it's like these young boys right here that want to play football, So it's a great scene. They did a good job.
All right, I think we have another question over here.
Hey, Vince.
Yes.
Coming out. Yeah, a quick question for you. I just wondering, what are your thoughts with Harold Carmichael making it to the Hall of Fame?
Oh, I'm so excited for Harold. I'm so proud to be his teammate. Yeah. Let me tell you, Slim, we call him Slim. Oh, he used to call me he called me Paisan. You know, I mean, it was really cool. It was, you know, I had the greatest relationship with Harold. When I first got there, you know, when you saw the movie, those guys were treating me pretty rough. You know, I mean, I was coming in. They thought I was a publicity stunt. Some of the guys thought I was writing a book because George Plimpton had just written the Paper Lions. They thought I was a snitch for Dick Vermeil, you know, and they really weren't treating me very nice. And Howard wasn't treating me poorly, but he was sort of ignoring me. And he didn't know, and he didn't know I'm a season ticket holder for 10 years. Those guys don't know that. And he was like, I was like my hero. I loved him. You know, Bill Berge, you know, Roman Gabriel, all those guys. I love these guys. Poe James. I mean, these were my guys, right? And then all of a sudden, I had this really big game because he was injured in training camp at a game against Miami Dolphins. And in that game, I had 5 catches in the first half. And Vermeil says, "You're out, man." He says, "You're going to make this team, son." And then all of a sudden, Harold started helping me out on the field. And then he became my best friend. And we would go out all the time. Monday nights, we were hanging out after the game, hang out, and still as close as could be. And I'm so happy and proud for him. But I'll tell you what, there's one more guy from the Eagles organization. You know who belongs in the Hall of Fame, and that's Coach Dick Vermeil.
Absolutely.
Coach Dick Vermeil. You know, he took one team to a Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl, and he came really close with Kansas City back there with Trent Green. He was just 1 or 2 plays away from getting into the Super Bowl. Dick Vermeil deserves to be there.
Yes, sir. Carl, what you got?
Well, I see a lot of people have joined us in the past 15, 20 minutes. So come up and see Sue. She's got raffle tickets. She's got free T-shirts. Don't forget, we got beer specials, Miller Lights. We got 1675 spirits. I see the man back there, Ed himself, is manning the bar. So I'm sure you can get a good cocktail back there. So anybody that has just joined us, make sure to come up and see Sue. We want to give this stuff away tonight. We are going to draw these raffles probably around 7:45-ish. If that's is that pretty much on target? 7:45.
Careful's asking about you.
All right.
So where are we at?
So we have a couple questions. Somebody wants to know what position Vinny plays.
My son Vinny plays slot receiver, and he's got some good stuff coming up. I'm really not at liberty to say what's going on, but he's training down in Boca Raton with. He was chosen to train down there with a bunch of guys to get either go to mini camps, pro days, and the combine. So I'm very excited about him. So he'll do whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if we ask him to pump up the football. Pardon me?
Has he thought of playing for the XFL?
Yes, yeah, we thought about that, but looking more toward we thought about it. So we'll just keep it at that.
All right. So Mr. Hannigan over here wants to know what your favorite restaurant is.
My favorite Italian restaurant. Well,
I was being more broad.
Well, you know, I went to a great Italian restaurant last night. I had date night with my daughter, and I went to one. It was called Via Locusto. It's right there, right on Rittenhouse Square at 17th and Locust Street. We have a bunch in Cherry Hill. We got a bunch of great BYOs, and I go to Radicchio's or a few of those places. But and I'll tell you, one of my favorites is Aldo Lamberti's right on Route 70. Aldo's my neighbor, and just as good as he gets. But let me tell you something. Dagwood's right now. This is so great that everybody in this lounge, it's SRO, and I didn't expect this as one way. And my cousin Eddie Papale was a great softball player. Said, "Vinny, you're going to pack the room," and I said, "Nah, nobody's going to come." And here they are, man. I'm so happy and excited. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We got time for one more trivia?
Yeah.
All right.
I think we got about 10 minutes left. So drink up.
Drink up.
I think it's time to make the announcement.
Yeah. We ready?
All right, let's do it.
You ready? So we'll be back here April 8th. April 8th, we'll be back here. And we're bringing Mitch Williams with us.
Yeah, baby.
got a Mr. Invincible story.
Oh, I'm sure Mitch has some great stories.
Yeah, but you know you and me go way back. So Mitch is going to be here on April 8th. And again, I want to thank our good buddy Bill Mattis, who puts all this stuff together for us.
Thanks, Bill.
So Mitch will be here April 8th, and hopefully we pack the house again. So there you go.
It'll be the beginning of
There's
baseball
the
season,
announcement.
right? Beginning of baseball season, so it's a good way to do it.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll do one more trivia. How many games did Vince play for the Eagles?
We had a 14-game season the first 2 years. That, by
I'm
the
gonna
way.
guess it's a guess, but
3 seasons?
How many games?
5.
want to guess again?
56?
A little lower.
That was a good guess.
That was a very good guess.
Yes. How about our bar crowd back there? I see
Hey,
a lot of
bar.
Come on, here we
got a hand
go.
up all the way
Here we
back
go.
there.
Stand up, give me 1
Here
second.
we go. We got a big bar crowd back there. I like that. That's good stuff.
Give me
I
1
see your
second.
ugly face back there. I'm getting to you shortly. You and that ugly guy next to you.
Okay, we have an answer of 3 back here.
Nah, not
So we
quite.
add them all
Anybody
together.
else?
How many games?
Give me 1 second. We got somebody else.
It's a 2-digit number.
We got 26.
No.
Was that Dennis or Scott? Who guessed that?
It was Scott.
45.
Oh, you're getting close.
32.
Oh my God.
All right, we got another guess.
42.
We'll give it to him. It's 41.
Well, here we go. This is Wikipedia again. All right, here's the deal.
Don't trust Mario. That's
Hey, I verified that with him first.
So our first, we were under the old collective bargaining agreement back then. So the first year was 14 games, second year 14. So 14. I was injured, but I never missed a play. So that's 28. Then the next year was 16. So what's 28 plus 16?
sounds like 44.
Yeah, and then add the playoff game against the Atlanta Falcons, the wild card game. So I got 45 games in, and in that wild card game, I separated my shoulder, and I had surgery the next year, my 4th year, and in the first preseason game against the old Baltimore Colts in Municipal Field in Baltimore, I dislocated my left shoulder. I re-separated my right shoulder and went on injured reserve. And the last laugh of that is I got credit for the season and I get a pension from the NFL. So that's, yeah, baby. I'll take that.
So we have one final question from Facebook. Someone wants to know, do you ever go back to the old neighborhood and do you keep in touch with any of your old friends?
I go back to my old neighborhood all the time. I drive through every chance I get. The little housing project and my old friends, all the buddies from Middleborough High School. We hang together all the time. I was so honored, as I said, for those maybe just came in. They retired my number at Interborough just recently and put up a little shrine, which is really cool. So life is good. Yeah, my buddies, that's what it's all about, and it's about friends. And, they always say the old expression is the older you get, the better you used to be. And the stories get better and better, So we have a lot of laughs and we get together all the time.
Here we go. Anybody else out there? We're winding down. Any more questions?
Oh, all right.
I'm surprised I didn't get any Mark Wahlberg questions.
Okay, we got one. Hold on.
I can't.
What's up? How you doing? All right, good to see you.
We got a question back there.
So, random question. XFL, how long do you think it'll last?
As long as they want it to last. He's got a nice contract. Vince McMahon has done he's got a beautiful package. It's I think pretty stable. It's very popular. And I see the XFL being around for a long time, and it's a great feeder league for the NFL. So listen, here's the deal. Because I played in the World Football League and I did radio for the Philadelphia Stars. The reason those two leagues folded is because they tried to go head-to-head with the NFL and say that they were something that they're not. So if you just accept it for what you are and use that as an extension and see that, and I think Vince McMahon, and they've got great coaches and some tremendous cities, and they're getting a lot of support. I see it going on for a few more years.
Lauren, you got another question out there?
Yes, he has a comment.
Comment.
Okay. It's Matt Jacoby over here.
Hey, Matt, what's up?
Good. So maybe a few guys don't know about this, but I reached out to Vince. I'm with the Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors, and about a year and a half ago, we were getting together with some veterans down on South Hampton Road and the Boulevard. All the old age folks that World War II, Vietnam, Korea, can't get out of their houses and all that stuff. Nobody really visits them. So being with Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors, my general said, hey, maybe we can get a Philly icon to come out and say hello to these guys and these women. And I said, well, I know a Philly icon, Vince Papale. So called on Vince, and Vince came out, and I got plenty of pictures. He sat with every single veteran and took pictures with them and gave them Eagles jerseys with their names on it.
God bless you.
And that's the kind of man you're dealing with right there.
Yep.
Okay?
Gonna make me cry, man. Stop, man.
Hey, Vince, really, it means a lot.
Thank you.
Still talk about it, and God bless you and what you do for the city.
Well, thank you very much. Can I say something? You know, when you think, I don't know. Let's see. We got a couple minutes here. Yeah, we got. I can do this in a minute. So, when you think of the movie, and you see the movie Invincible, don't see it as me. See it as you. See it as your children. See it as somebody that you know in your life that has a dream. And then we're so lucky to be in the USA because we have that opportunity to have those dreams come true. And the people in our lives that give us that opportunity are the military, law enforcement, the first responders, and anybody that's willing to go out there and to keep that dream alive and to protect it for us, for our children and us to be able to do that. You can't do that anywhere else in the world, but you can do it in the United States. So, you know, my hands off to you, everybody else from the military, whatever you do, you serve, and take the rest to keep the dream alive. Thank you so much.
I do have one more question if we're taking it.
Go ahead.
Sure.
I'll take it real quick, Vince. How hard did you cry when the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl? How hard did you cry as much as we all did?
Yes, I did.
How great was that feeling for you?
It was awesome. I was there with my family. It was the most special time in the world. I was there with my roommate, teammate, Danny Franks. We wrote a book, by the way, called The Last Laugh. It's on Amazon.com. And but I was like a baby. You know, my kids were looking at me and they just left me alone. I've been there a long time, and my dad, I went to the games at Franklin Field with my father. My first season tickets were at Franklin Field, and quite a moment. And Doug Peterson and Jeannie Peterson, the Peterson family, we've been friends for 20 years. I've been around him when his kids were born, and I cried for him because he's a great man, and we have a great coach at our helm that's going to lead us to a Super Bowl again. We are really fortunate to have Doug Peterson as our head coach.
So with all that, and that's probably the best closing for our military guy back there. Thank you for
your service.
Thank you for bringing that up, and that's awesome to add that to our show. I can speak from a lot of different ways, but Vince is out there. Vince does a lot for this city. He does a lot for people.
Absolutely.
He's got a story that's just endless. He shared a lot of it tonight, but he's got a lot more that's available. You can find him where? VincePapale.com?
Yeah, VincePapale.com. Just hit the tab says contact, and it comes right to me.
So, he's very accessible. He's a great friend of ours. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. We're gonna draw these raffles shortly. So take care of Ryan and Kelly back there, and the other servers that I see going around. I apologize, I didn't get their names, but I just want to thank everyone here at Dagwoods. We'll be back April 8th with the Wild thing, and hopefully y'all come out. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Wow. That was the most fun hour I've spent in a long time.
Thank you, sir.